So last time, the third point was implementing. It's all about compassion. The whole idea or the whole practice, it comes down to compassion. And then the method of being able to connect with our compassion, to keep that, to ignite that state of quality within the mind. The method in the mind training, it is given by give and take meditation. All the goodness you dedicate to all sentient beings, all the sufferings you feel whatever burdens that we have in our everyday life, or whatever ignorance or whatever the negative quality. If you feel that, yes, then you kind of also not take it very hard upon yourself when we feel those negative emotions, let's say, yeah? When you go through those hard times. We don't take it very hard upon oneself, but then you just feel that that quality, and then what we can do in order to make that into practice is that we can consider not to have every negative quality not just for oneself but from everyone else, yeah? From all sentient beings. And then last time when I say all sentient beings, it doesn't necessarily have to be all sentient beings. It can be within your circle of people, yeah? So that we can feel more. We can have that sincere feeling towards our circle of people that we care about. So when we go through that negative moments, then we try to take everyone's negative, not upon yourself, but that same quality, the quality slowly diminishes, becomes lesser and lesser. So I mean, at least with that, then whatever we are experiencing in that moment, then it can be turned into something positive. Something positive. So it same goes with the good things that you accumulate, be it successful or be it being happy, whatever happy moments that you experience, you do the same thing. So that is the method, and like I said, all this method it is to try to get in touch with that compassionate quality of our minds, to dig that bodhicitta out of you. So that was the main practice, yeah, the main practice of give and take, trying to change the way of our thinking, or when we sit down, and then when we meditate like this, then it changes it influences the mind. I think influence is the right word. It influences the mind to think of our normal ways, out of our normal ways. Because if we keep on thinking with our normal ways, then I mean, thinking like that would be impossible. Kind of like we never tend to bother to think in that manner. But when we sit down and practice and train, then we kind of we shift the focus of one's mind. So we try to train the mind like that. Last time it still continues about implementing. So the third point is basically implementing, like what I said just now. Yeah? Then mainly when we implement this kind of, when we meditate on this, it's either two ways that we can do it. Yeah? One, some choose to go on a retreat and especially take this retreat and practice this practice in a retreat. Yeah? And then and then also it can be done when we are not in the retreat, when we are working as well. Yeah? When we are going on with our everyday lives. It can still be practiced. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a very strict practice. It can be done anywhere. And then for any of this kind of two ways of practicing, either be restricting yourself to a very strict environment or practicing in an open environment. There will be some kind of results. Sometimes when you do this give and take meditation, you might feel some sense of satisfaction, some wisdom, or you might see some different views of how you see the world. And then also, it can also have the opposite effect. The opposite effect meaning that you might not have any kind of experience, not gain any experience when we do this meditation, be it in the retreat or be it outside of the retreat. So one way to carry oneself when both things happen is to be very neutral. When you think you are being, there are some results coming, then we not to be too grasping, not to be too proud of the practice that you have done. And then when there is no gain, when there's nothing gained, and then when you sometimes feel down and think that, oh, no matter how much I try to practice, it's still I'm not gaining anything. Then we might feel like, oh, maybe this is because of my past karma, or maybe this is due to my ignorance, and things like that. And then we might have that that sense of taking it too hard upon yourself. But like I said, this practice is also like when things like that happen, then we should turn that into the positive way. And then turning that into positive way, if we feel that we lack, we are ignorant because we cannot go through the details, or we cannot meditate, or you cannot focus, then we simply try to take everyone's ignorance together with yours, and then making that into something positive, by dedicating it, or by diminishing all the ignorance that exists in this samsara. So even though it will not, even though it will not enhance your clarity of mind, but then that is the right attitude, I guess. So when things like that happen, you should not be too down. You should not have that sense that you should not give up hope. If you think in that manner, then you're not losing hope. If you turn the ignorance together with you, if you feel that it is ignorance, then you can use that. With all the sentient beings' ignorance together with yours, it will be diminished. So if we think in that way, then we will never lose hope. But if we think that, I am not suitable for this kind of practice, and then, I think I should, maybe this is too much for me, then in that sense, then we are kind of giving up hope. That kind of attitude slowly leads to losing hope. And on the process, it's we do not achieve what we have started. So we kind of lose hope. So that kind of attitude, even though it's very subtle, it can be very subtle too. It can be either from laziness, or it can be from interest, or any kind of feelings, qualities of the mind. So that can drain you, lead you to the path of losing hope. And then also when there are so many achievements, or so many experiences, when we do the give and take practice, like when we have a good experience, a good meditation, a good session of practice, then we tend to feel the good qualities, and sometimes we might feel that the satisfaction of gain. We might be happy with ourselves. We might be a little bit of pride, having that pride. Yeah? And then that pride can also lead to something that it is totally different from what we are trying to achieve. It can take you to a different route. So that's why it is important to recognize these factors so that we can stick on the path to our goal, yeah? Which is in this case being enlightened. Yeah? I like what here. I can just read it from the book. And, and then it says, as one improves and sees some positive results. Yeah, this is what I was just saying about. And then there will be different obstacles appearing to obstruct. And then we call them maras. So as every time when we have a good result, or be it in our practices, be it in our dedications, be it reciting mantras and so on, there will always be some kind of obstacles that come. That obstacle comes because how we first see that realization or that experience when we meditate. When we meditate, and then when we feel something that is satisfaction, something blissful, or satisfaction, or something that that is giving you some sense of wisdom. Yeah? So that first interaction with that kind of senses, that kind of recognition, then any kind of whatever in whatever form an obstacle can appear in front of you. It can appear in the path. So to be able to recognize those obstacles is also important, because if we don't recognize that obstacle, then we might follow that obstacle, and then once that we follow it, then there will be so many other obstacles as well. Then that will lead you further and further away from what you have just experienced, what you have just gained, and it takes you back to where we started, basically. But to those kind of obstacles, there is I think the book explains it very well. So we call them maras. They come in different forms. They can come as some kind of temptation, or they can come as a dreadful calamities. Milarepa called them the demons. These demons are in sense creation of the mind. As Milarepa so wisely counseled trials and tribulations in life are the best means to overcome stubborn ego clinging. One should be glad that they are happening. Do not pay too much attention to them. Simply let everything take its natural course. So I think when we have this kind of experiences with our meditation, with meditation or practice, whatever practices, if it is related to in here it says stubborn ego clinging. So if related with our ego clinging, then everything that we have accumulated, all the merit kind of it goes away right there and then. And then it says, this is the part where a meditator should relish the obstacles and challenges of the demon this way. It says, so when you see those kind of obstacles, when we recognize that obstacles, then our attitude towards this kind of attitudes should be, yes, welcome. Please come and harm me more. Please come and harm me more. Because the more you come, the more I can practice. So in fact, if we have that kind of attitude towards those obstacles, then again we will always be in our path. We can never be distracted from our path. So the important thing to do is to recognize that as soon as it appears in our mind stream. Because this kind of obstacles can be very subtle. It can be just a thought. It just be a thought. It can be, like the book said, it can be in any kind of forms. I mean, speech and action is more, more obvious. These we can see it coming. We can try to, even if it is there in front of us, we can try to avoid it in many ways. And I think we do that in our everyday lives too, when we recognize the most obvious obstacles. But obstacles like thoughts, they are very subtle. They're very subtle, so we have to be very aware. As soon as it comes within our mind stream, if we can recognize, oh, okay, I see it. I see it, and then when you see it, you welcome it. Yeah? You can let it come. And once it comes within your mind stream, you can play with it a little bit. You can think, why are you coming to my mind stream? What is the reason for you to come within my mind stream? What role are you playing with my ego grasping? How are you related to my ego, the grasping of the ego, the stubborn ego clinging? So once we analyze a little bit like this, then that whatever thought, that obstacle will be purified, and then the mind stream again will be focused on what we are trying to achieve. You stimulate my practice, making it even more powerful. As we say, heap on the wood, and there is a bigger fire. That's the example that is given. So as there are many woods on a fire, then the more the wood, the bigger the fire it becomes. So the fire thing meaning your bodhicitta, and the woods meaning the obstacles, the maras. Yeah, we were talking about this is the third point of the mind training, 7 points mind training. I'm sure you already know the give and take practice. Practicing on compassion, using the method of visualizing the sufferings of others, and then giving all your positive qualities to others just by give and take. By inhaling, you can visualize that. So the third point is to implement that practice in our everyday lives. So that is the attitude we should take. Any kind of maras can be in any kind of form, and I think to each individual, each practitioner, the maras will be different, because we have ego clinging. Everybody has that. So depending on how we cling to ourselves, there will be different kinds of maras, different kinds of things. So if we are aware enough, then we can recognize it, and then we can also see that as not a threat, but in fact a very good practice for you to keep on practicing. It's like an encouragement, rather than giving up hope and saying, "Oh, okay, Mara, you win, I lose," and then giving up. But then instead of having that attitude, is the right way. Yeah, I mean for practice, especially. Yeah. Mara can come in drowsiness too. And then it says here, last but not least, a serious meditator. So, I mean, a serious meditator meaning one has committed himself or herself to do whatever in his or her time when that person is alive, to dedicate that body, speech and mind to the practice until there is enlightenment reached. So that is a serious practitioner. But also we can take ourselves as a serious practitioner. In this time and era, I think we are serious practitioners. So it is said that I mean, when we do this kind of meditation practices and so on, we should make offerings to the Dharma protectors, like Mahakala, especially in our case, Mahakala, Guru Rinpoche, not Guru Rinpoche, but all the other Dharma protectors. The reason to do that is the Dharma protectors are kind of what they protect is basically wisdom. They protect the wisdom. They cannot protect. I mean, I cannot say this and that, A and B, because it works in very mysterious ways too. But mainly, Dharma protectors will protect the wisdom. So if we make offerings or any kind of offerings to the Dharma protectors, it will help us in our path to protect the wisdom that maras too. It will help us recognize those maras, and then we'll be able to deal with those maras and so on. So this is the third point. Then the fourth point is on how to apply the practice to situations in life as well as in death. When we live, how we live, and when we die, how should we die? Prepare ourselves. So the fourth point has, I think, four or five. It has 5 skillful means. So I think most of the skillful means are very basic, very general kind of means. So the first skillful means is motivation to whatever we are doing. I mean, motivation on the mind training, to keep ourselves on the track, and then to basically to get motivated. Meaning that one should always try to keep in mind the practice that we do. The moment we wake up, you try to be motivated. Throughout the day, you try to remind yourself again and again and again and again. Then also before going to sleep, you try to remind yourself of the practices and try to reflect on what you did and what you did not do, so that tomorrow you can do it better, and so on. So that kind of motivations. And then also to, I guess, to see what the ego can do to the practice, to the mind training. How destructive or how big of an obstacle that it can be. That it can totally lead you to a different path, a different point of view, a different state of mind in a split of a second. So all these things we try to I mean, we can try to motivate ourselves, remind ourselves, and then just reflect on on the things that you did, and how it happened, why it happened, so that tomorrow you can be more aware, and then you can be more. You can recognize those starting points. It all starts from the starting points. If we don't recognize that starting point that triggers the emotion, and then we keep on falling into the same pattern again and again and again. So motivation is one. Familiarizing, yeah? To get familiar with the practice. Yes. This is also very same as the first one, but I think there are very little differences. But this is also to contemplate. It says to contemplate day and night. You don't necessarily have to practice throughout the day. Yeah? This means if you practice throughout the day, then that is good. I mean, those are the practitioners who do it in the retreats, who choose to stay in a retreat and do this practice because they have all the time, and then they dedicate all the day to the practices. And so for them, it's the same thing for us as well. As long as we have that awareness, we can do it either one session in the morning, one session, or we can do one session in the afternoon or in the evening. Doesn't matter. Just one session a day. We can do it for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or 15 minutes. Doesn't really matter. As long as we are involved or in practicing and following the instructions, that's okay. But then, what we have to do is keep the mind in touch with our practice. No matter what we're doing, even if we're going to school, going to work, or just going shopping, or just walking, taking a hike, or whatever, and try to remind yourself of what you are doing, what you are committed to doing, why you are doing it, and then how you are doing it, and then to think of the results as well, the goals. To keep thinking in that, to have that thought within your mind stream every now and then. And then it is said, if you familiarize yourself during the day, if you do this well enough during the day, then at night also you get familiarized with the practice as well, because you have influenced the mind so much that even when we sleep, it follows the same mind stream, because you have habited the mind during the day, and then at night it also continues. Yeah, I think this is given in a day and night experience. It's the same as I think when we die, it's the same thing. When we live, if we habit the mind in a very, if we follow the instructions and we have that awareness within our mind stream, then when we die too, or at that moment of dying, we can the mind stream will be habited in that way, so that when we die, that process of dying will be very positive as well. Rather than being very confused and having that fear and and then dwelling in very not scary places, but in a place where you should not be. So, but if the mind is just like this, just like the simple example of, if we influence the mind during the day, it will affect it in the night when we sleep. So it's the same thing as well. And then when when we die in that state, if we have that much of a practice, that we can also influence the beings in the Bardo realm to seek refuge, or to guide them as well. So it can be very very powerful, actually. So there was the second one, familiarizing. The third one is again bodhicitta. The third skillful means is bodhicitta. One does whatever one can, to give rise to bodhicitta. Hence, it is there. Try to cultivate it ever increasingly. Here, what you have in mind is the activeness of activities of generosity. You can be generous in material things. You can be generous in practical assistance to others. So I guess, and then always having that bodhicitta attitude, the compassionate attitude, and then to give rise to bodhicitta is the practice of generosity. I think is the first paramita. First paramita. There was a reason why the Buddha ordered that the 6 paramitas in an orderly way. The first being the bodhicitta, because it can be done by anyone. And it can be done unconditionally too. Whether you are a practitioner or not a practitioner, Buddhist or non-Buddhist, anyone can just do it. But in whatever ways, in whatever way we can act in and practice in generosity, we at the same time we are also igniting the bodhicitta mind, because the bodhicitta mind is wanting to help others in whatever way. So it can be as simple as giving food to a bird, or to a fish, or life releasing, or just lending a helping hand to someone, guiding them with words as well. All this kind of things, because the intention, all of this behind that, the intention is to simply wanting to help. So always try to practice the generosity, because we can stay in touch with the bodhicitta mind by practicing generosity. At the same time, we accumulate merits. Merits is a very superstitious word, I think. I mean, it sounds very superstitious to us. Accumulate merits, meaning, I think when we say merits, is we just influence our mind with positive. We accumulate positive in the mind stream. And then whatever we do will have an effect on others as well. So that is sending and giving our merits to other people. So like that, the advice that Rinpoche gives is strengthen our bodhicitta. So whatever we have achieved, she said it will grow. And whatever you have yet to achieve, you will do so speedily. You should let it become a habit to give, even if it is just giving foods to animals and so on. So try to make it into a habit, giving. The fourth means, skillful means, is to be fearful of the ego. Meaning the fourth skillful means is to work on one's ego. We should develop an abhorrence of the ego. Abhorrence, I think it means we should have a different view of the ego. We should not think the ego as friendly as what we think, but rather have a different view of the ego, because the ego is the one, it can lead us to, it can take us away from the path of our practicing, and can take away everything that we have accumulated, all the mirrors that we have accumulated. Can just in one snap of a finger, it can take everything too. Because ego is always related with, I guess, the three poisons. The three poisons meaning ignorance, anger, and hatred. Treacherous. What does treacherous mean?
Cunning. It's always
Cunning.
lying.
Okay. Yeah.
Always lying.
Always lying. Yeah. So the ego can be
And the
treacherous.
face very.
And how destructive it can be to the mind training. So avoid ego clinging at all cost. Be wary of the very first signs of self-attachment. Ego here means selfishness, pure and simple. So selfishness. So remember that time that it says we have to be motivated, familiarizing with the practice. And I think this also kind of falls in that category where we have to, whenever that kind of, we can think of this as a Mara too, selfishness. So if our mind is aware enough during the day, we have so many moments where we deal with that kind of quality, with selfishness kind of quality. So if we reflect on it during the day or during the night, we can start, like I said that time, what that does to the practice, to the bodhicitta quality, why it came, how it started. So if you try to think like that, then next time when that kind of moments come, you can recognize it firsthand. At the very first rising, you can pin it down. So being fearful for the ego, but we cannot only be fearful of the ego. We know that, but we should work on it. So how we can work on it is just by having that awareness during the day. Any deed, any thought, any speech that you did out of selfishness, I mean, we can be the judge ourselves. Yeah? We can be the judge ourselves. You can put Buddha in front of you as your witness, and then you can and you can start to analyze. Yeah? So working on that, that's the fourth means, skillful means. And the fifth one is wish making, basically. Wish making is you can call it aspiration, or you can call it mantra as well.
Mantra.
You can call it your mantra. But I think wish making is when you make a wish, it is something for you to, in the future to happen. Yeah? So that because you wish for that to happen, and then you believe that to happen as well. And so if you keep making a wish like that, it says it will. Aspiration power is very powerful. So hence wish making. It is also said in the modern days. People who are not Buddhists at all, they use this word mantra. Yeah? And I think they use it on, especially on children. I think. Then the parents kind of tell, or the teacher or someone puts the children in front of the mirror and then talks to himself or herself, and then say, "Oh, I am smart, I am beautiful, I am strong, I will take." So that is kind of like a mantra. So that kind of helps that individual believe whatever he recited, the mantra. So wish making, in this case, it's all sentient beings making wish for all sentient beings to be liberated from samsara, and so on. But then I said we should always start from our circle of people, making wish for our circle of people, like for our families, for our friends, for people that you care about. So if you make wish for them, because you know what they are going through, and you have first-hand experience with them as in this life, and then when we make wishes, it will be very sincere, very pure as well. That this five skillful means is that when we live, or when we have this time, when we are living, we should. This is how we practice those kind of things. And when I think Rinpoche also talks about dying here. So, and then how do you implement the Lojong practice when you die? If you have a family, you can divide your worldly possessions among members of your family. You should also give some to charity to benefit others, to satisfy their immediate needs, or to think ahead for them far into the future. Rinpoche said that is entirely as you choose, whatever you want to do. I think the point is that when we are at that moment, we should kind of clear everything ahead of time, because everything that we have in our possession, in the material things, we have a grasping for them. We think that it belongs to me, or that grasping is there. So if that is not cleared at that moment, there will always be some doubts, like having a confusion of letting go. You cannot let go, and having confusions and being stuck in that mindset. So if everything is done, cleared, then all we need to worry about is having a peace of mind. So if we have a peace of mind, then one can just let go very easily. And then especially when one has influenced the mind with instructions of meditations or practices or aspirations, mainly aspiration, I think. Because in that moment of time, if you make an aspiration, it is said to be the most powerful aspiration one can make, because after that moment, there is no harmful thoughts that can overpower the aspiration, the wish that you just made. So it will have a very strong impact, I guess. And what was I saying? Oh yes, so to clear everything so that one can have that peace of mind. So Rinpoche said, when you are dying, you should not think of the things that you are particularly fond of. Not to think of things that we are attached to, what we used to like, or what we like, or to think, oh, if I had this, or if I had that, also in the future. So that your mind can remain in peace. You should give away your possessions and make sure that you have no more attachments. When the time comes, oh, I am dying now. What is going to happen to all my things? Oh no, I read that wrong, sorry. You should give away all your possessions and make sure that you have no more attachments. When the time comes, oh, I am dying now. What is going to happen to all my things? The mind can easily become emotionally disturbed. It would be disastrous if your mind is not at peace at that critical moment. So, yeah. So if the mind is not at peace, like I said that time, it can be in a state where it is not supposed to be. And then can be stuck there for, can be stuck there. And that is the power of attachment, I guess. Being attachment into one thing, and then it affects the after in the bodily realm and also in the rebirth as well. Before there was a saying that there was a I don't know which country, but in India probably, because it was during the Buddha's time, and there was a very rich lord. In that time, he was like the king of that small country. Then he had so many goals that he was so attached to his material goods that when he was about to die, that he didn't want to give it to anyone, because he strongly believed that it was only his. So he dug a very big hole under his house and kept all the gold there. And then when he passed away, after a few months, I guess, there was a scorpion inside that box of the gold. And when people dug it out, they saw the scorpion. And then I think it was Buddha who said that he was reincarnated because of his attachment to his possessions and so on. And also, there are also stories like if we have too much grasping at the time of death, if you cannot let go, things like that, then somehow that that energy or that consciousness still strongly believes that it needs to feel its presence at home. So it kind of comes home or office or wherever that mind was set during the last moment, wherever that attachment was very strongly held on to. So it kind of appears in that kind of place. So there are many stories that when someone passed away, and then in the office, he used to be a very successful man. It was mentioned in this book. It's not someone I know, but I think it was someone who Rinpoche knew. And that he used to be a very successful man. He was from USA. He had a lot of properties and so on. So when he passed away, his assistant one time in the office, there was nobody in the office, but then the light keeps turning on and off, and things like that. So it was his strong grasping, strong attachment that kind of sends him in the other direction.
So if so, then this previous man will not be rebirth?
He will have a rebirth, but then depending on how strong he holds on to his attachments, that can lead to many different things. And then his rebirth can be maybe in the lower realms or in the animal realm or something different. Even if in the human realm can be in a not very good condition as well. So many possibilities. Or it can be influenced in the right way, and then still will be able to have a good rebirth at least. I think it all depends on that recognizing that ego, that grasping, and the attachment. So Rinpoche also knew one lady in Switzerland. Said when she died, she left behind 3 million Swiss francs. She gave them all to a dog to take care of the dog, and then I think when the dog is taken care of, and after the dog lived a very happy life, and then still 2 million Swiss franc is there will be a lot left over. So whatever it is left over, I think she gave it to one charity or some fundraising or something like that. So Rinpoche said that was a very very helpful for her, because everything was done very simply. She just laid it out there, and then her mind can be in peace. Maybe she doesn't have any family too. I think the dog meant a lot to her, so. So in the time of death, the first thing to remember is to let go of all the attachments and so on, of all the worldly possessions. Let go meaning, if you have family, you give it to your families, you distribute it in whatever ways you find suitable to your families or your friends, or to any kind of charity or anything. The second thing to remember is to make altruistic wishes, meaning very sincere, pure wishes. Like I said, that time, that in that moment of time, whatever you wish for will be very sincere, will be very powerful. Because imagine ourselves in a situation where we have like a life and death situation, let's say. Like, suppose we're in an aeroplane flying, and then all of a sudden there's a very big turbulence, and then you think you are almost dying. Then naturally, we as Buddhists, what we do is, naturally we make a wish, say, or you think of your root guru, and then you make a wish. That quality is very, very awakened. It's very, very pure, I think, during that time. But when we try to do it now, when everything is normal and happy, and you cannot gain that quality. So at that moment of death, also is the same thing. That quality is very different from what normally how we make aspirations. And then after that, nothing can cover, nothing negative can overpower that aspiration that you just made. And then the third thing to remember is intention. It says, you are resolved, and you are dedicated, and you dedicate your future life to the service of all sentient beings. May all the merits I have accumulated in the Lojong practice make this possible for me. May my future life be for the well-being of all sentient beings. And that's how you should do it. So that's the intention. So the intention shouldn't be like, oh, next life, please make me rich, the most rich, make me a celebrity. Those kind of wishes it's not very sincere. If you start making wish like that, then it becomes, the Mara is overpowering us, because we did not recognize that selfishness. So it should be very selfless, the aspirations. So that is the third thing we should remember. And how we should make wishes. The fourth thing to remember when we are dying is the time of death is to watch out for your ego. You must not let it ruin your peace of mind. If there are signs of that, subdue it by thinking that ego is but an illusion. Remember that the cause of ignorance is ego. You should not be obsessed by it, as you are proficient in the Lojong practice. You should not find it difficult to subdue the ego, especially in the time of death. So I guess it's the same in making wishes. Yes. Now we might find it very difficult to subdue the ego, because we're living, we're healthy, we're we're walking, we're running, we are experiencing different things. So it will be very difficult to subdue the ego. But at that time, just like that wish is very sincere, I think during that time, if the mind is aware of, like what Rinpoche said, if we can keep a check on the ego, and then if it happens, if the ego comes into the mind stream, then it can be let go very easily. The ego can be gone, can be diminished. Yeah? Ego is no longer an ego, because at that time when we have no energy and everything is fading away, it can be easy to let go of the ego. But if it goes the other way, then it's, again, it has a different impact. Yeah? So if we can keep a check and then let it flow in this manner, then it will be, like I said, in the Bardo realm and the rebirth and so on, everything will be positive. So the fifth thing to remember is to be more compassionate towards others. Your life is ending. Show more love to your fellow sufferers. In the Bardo state, your continuing mind will activate the blessing. So when we go into that Bardo state with those kind of preparations, those kind of with no ego, with subduing the ego, with making good wishes, and with no attachment. With that kind of energy, we are kind of entering the Bardo state. So with that energy can have effect in the Bardo realm to other sentient beings as well. Like I said, blessing is a very spiritual word, blessings. But in a more scientific way, I think energy. It is energy. So in the Bardo state, your continuing mind will activate the blessing. The altruistic wishes will be fulfilled. So whatever wishes that you made will also be fulfilled in your next rebirth. You will be a bodhisattva. The mind is a continuum that carries on into the next rebirth, where from the very beginning you will be a compassionate and a useful person, ready and willing to serve. So that all affects on how we live and how we prepare ourselves to die. And then when we die, that kind of preparation to enter the state, and then on the process help other sentient beings in the Bardo realm as well, because I think naturally you just carry that energy. It will naturally just affect other beings as well, confused beings. Because we can imagine in a totally dark place, a place that you have never been to, and it's very different from what we are used to. Yeah? So in that state, many souls, you want to call it souls, or you want to call it consciousness, or minds. They're all confused, they're trapped, they constantly fear the next moment and so on. So in that moment, when something is very like a bright, like a light that is shining, so everything will be encouraged by that. So it will naturally follow this. That kind of affects energy. So that's why I think mind training is a very good practice. Just to do this practice, can have that kind of impacts. And just this is good enough for us to practice. So this is the fourth point. It ends here. fourth point was the skillful means, yeah? The skillful means. So these are the skillful means. So the fourth point ends here. To follow the fifth point, which is on the evaluation of your practice, it is to assess how well you are doing in the Lojong practice. Later you will know. Results will clearly be evident. So from that moment on, you are on yourself. You are, how do you say that? You are on your own. If you have reached this level, then if you keep practicing like this, then whatever improvements or whatever assurance that there is, it will naturally, your wisdom will guide you basically. Your wisdom will guide you, and I think every now and then on the fifth point and the sixth and the seventh point is all about recognizing those kind of maras that come into play, maintaining that practice throughout your day and night. So I guess we can stop here on the fifth point today.
Actually, how do we be with the self but without ego clinging?
To be with the self.
Yes, but without ego clinging.
But without ego clinging. At this state, there will always be ego clinging. There will always be, no matter, what we can do is be aware of it. Yeah? Be aware of it. Like I said that time, the obvious things we can always recognize that kind of quality. Yeah? We can see if a very arrogant person is screaming and shouting, we can see the ego. But, it is kind of shown to others. Those are the obvious kind of ego clinging or ego grasping, having that kind of. But the subtle ones are that comes within the mind stream. So I think we just have to keep a check on those mind streams. If we can recognize those points, that is as good as being selfless. I think. And also, naturally, to kind of remedy the ego grasping is simply the give and take too. When you do the give and take, we're not just tapping into the bodhicitta mind, but also at the same time we're working with the ego grasping as well. Because if we can take all the sufferings of others onto yourself without ego clinging. If there's ego clinging involved, then we will not be able to take. We will not be able even to think about. Forget about carrying one's burden. We already have enough burden in this life. But then to carry the burden of all sentient beings, it will be. Some people will just say, "Oh, no, there's no chance I will do that." So, but if you can do that. At that moment, if it is sincere, if it is pure, you are selfless. At that time, you are being selfless. At this time, at this level, we can say this level, or at this time, there will always be that kind of ego grasping. We are habited in that way. But there will be little moments where we are selfless. Yeah? Like I said that time, during the airplane inside a turbulence, very bad turbulence, and when you think, oh, it's going to crash, then you start making very, very sincere wishes, aspirations, or whatever. Yeah. whoever you remember, you're going to make wishes for them as well. So that moment is actually being selfless, I think. Selfless, and even the time at the moment of death, if we can subdue the ego, is during that time when we are totally feeling selfless. And subdue the ego. And if the mind is aware enough to recognize the ego coming into play, I think during that time you can see it as two different things. But now we see it as one. I mean, even in our minds, we cannot differentiate the two. Like self, the ego, is the same as me. This is my hand. This is my hand. Me. What's that? Me, mine, and
I, me, mine.
I, me, mine. Yeah. So selfless, basically, having that moments of having that kind of moments. Yeah? And that is what, when we practice, that is what we're trying to get into, in that selfless state, selfless realization. To realize that, to come to that realization, and then to see the world from that point of view. But whereas for now, it cannot. Like I said just now, when we try to make a wish, it's not as pure as life and death situations. It's just the way it is, what to do.
So, Rinpoche, can you elaborate more on the give and take the practice? But remember that Shamar Rinpoche say something about it, give and take, as one side you breathe in, and then you have a marionette, you have a breathe in some bad air, like
Like
that.
in a form, yes.
It's a form,
Yes.
and then breathe in, and the air inside the, not inside the lung, I think like in the heart, right? Reach the heart, and then transforms the light from black color to the white color when you breathe out.
Yes.
You see the like this? Is
It's
it correct like this?
yeah. You can also visualize it in that way. I mean, visualizing the light is simply so that one can have a more proper focus, so that we can. It's like an object. Yeah, it's like a tool for the mind to stay in that track. Yeah, so we use the breathing, the light, but the main essence is to be able to have that quality of mind, the compassionate quality of mind. Yeah, so we use that tool, be it lights, breathing in lights, white light, breathing in black light, sorry. And then the white light, the black light symbolizes all the negativities accumulated with our accumulation of negativities, and together with all sentient beings. All the negativities come onto you, and then simply that negativity gets somehow filtered into positiveness. So all the good merits, the good qualities that you have accumulated in the past, and that you are accumulating in the present, and then that you will accumulate in the future. So that is the most amount of positive that we can accumulate as an individual. So with that thought, with that mind quality, you give that to all sentient beings. Yes, but the essence is, if we do that, we can think like that. But then if we are missing that essence of that quality, because we're trying to generate that compassionate mind, this is, like I said, simply a tool to stay in that, to ignite our compassionate mind.
So during this process and the breathing and breathe out, the red light and white light, then what we have to visualize. Just visualize the bright light, BP,
Yes.
and then imagine there's all negative karma, negative things of all sentient beings,
Yes.
and then look like a black light.
Black lights. Yes.
Okay, and then after that, is a turn the right light when a beep out, and then all the mirrors are to dedicate to the all sentient beings.
To all sentient beings. Yes.
That's all right.
Yes.
That's the process.
That's the process. Yes. That is the method, the tool. You can say the focus point. But the essence is, like I said, trying to find that quality of mind within us, the bodhicitta mind. So the mind training is mainly about not just mind training, but all the other practices all teaches us to, not teaches us, but kind of leads us to that point, where we somehow have to, look into ourselves, with a very clear mind, and then to see how the mind reacts to everything. Then, the masters have said it. Yeah? Once all that is the labels and everything is off, then it's the view of that, the point of view from that state of mind is very, what do you call it? Very compassionate. Yes.
Actually, that's the way to lead us to have a good quality of compassion, right?
To have
a good quality of compassion. That's the
yes,
way that
yes,
the tools.
Yes. This is a way for us to generate that quality of mind, and then to see, and then also to see things differently. Because if we keep on practicing like this, if we keep on practicing the mind training, it is said that we will become a different person. We will become a different person. Because the view and everything is it's a little bit different from our past. Maybe in the past we get very annoyed with some certain things that annoys us, that gives us some kind of rise to our emotion, whatever emotion it can be. But if we practice the mind training, understand it very well, and then if we keep our souls busy with this, with the mind training, then it says that, whatever things that used to trigger our emotions will not be triggered anymore.